I wonder why certain players, and I guess it's all about the betting on yourself type of deal, and I do understand that aspect, but when you know the extra stress that also comes along with not negotiating during the season, why is that a stake in the ground that some players put in? Again, like I keep going back to, even Darren Ferris came on this show and said, once that puck drops, we're not negotiating his contract during the season. And I've always wondered, well, why? Why wouldn't you keep that dialogue going? Because maybe, just maybe, somebody says something where you're like, yeah, that's actually really good.
And
Let's
I do
sign.
agree with you, Andy, but some players don't want that distraction in their life every day. So that's why they draw the hard line in the sand, hoping it gets done before the season starts. But some guys just don't want to answer questions every day about a contract. So they
But it's not answering questions to the media. It's just continuing dialogue with the team.
But it is.
Okay.
If you don't draw the hard line in the sand, say I'm not talking about it because we're not negotiating during the season, then it's going to be a question all season long. So he made that decision. That's a negotiating tactic, because they were hoping the deal got done before the season started. That's why they would say that.
So let me ask you, if they say that publicly to maybe get people off their back, and i.e. the media and asking them questions, would privately their agent still be talking to the GM?
They very well may. They should be. And even if they're not discussing it, in public about their client, you don't want to close it. Okay, you've got 12 months in a year. You can't close the door for 8 of it. Totally. You've got to have communication. You've got to have conversation. And something may happen during the season, and something may have happened with Austin Matthews and a comp or whatever it may be that triggered the February 5th, I think it was, signing date. But it's done. He doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And some guys like the comfort of that long-term deal, and some guys thrive on the pressure. I mean, the term contract year, how many guys have the best year in their contract year? Well, they were playing for a new contract. And that drove me crazy. If you played like that every year, you wouldn't have to worry about having a great contract year. But it's a fact. If you look, at history in all sports, guys have monster years the year they're going to be a free agent and looking for that new contract, and know that their next time they sign a contract, it's going to be there's a platform year in terminology, right? That is your year that goes into your contract. And so, hey, that's just part of it. And I wouldn't want to talk about it all year long, but I never closed it down either, because I did sign deals through the course of a season.
With these players signing, so the second contract, right, has become the big bone of contention.
It has.
And I guess especially this year with all the RFAs who still remain unsigned. And because we've been hearing for a long time now, by no means has it been a conversation for 1 or 2 years. It's been a long time now about how players peak usually around that 28 years old range, right? So we've also seen a lot of those longer term deals and guys who go into the 30s, it kind of trickles down. So you have a league that's telling you the younger the better. You typically peak when you're younger. Now you have these guys coming out who are really good. You have to imagine that if you're basically telling them that their career could be over in like 10 years or less, you think they're not going to demand more money. So I guess my question is, do you get the sense that more players are demanding money based on what they might be able to do based on a small sample size, as opposed to how it used to be, which is you were getting paid for what you already accomplished with the hope that you would, continue it throughout. But it almost seems like contracts now are being based more on projection than what you actually did on a consistent basis. Because how can you be consistent when you've only been in the league for 3 years?
Well, you've had 3 really good years, though. I think it's a combination of those two things. I think the Clayton Keller contract is about projection on what they think he can be. And, $7.15 million is a lot to pay for a 40-point scorer, but they're projecting what he's going to be. Mitch Marner's led the Leafs in scoring for 2 years. And small sample size or not, how many guys lead their team in scoring the first 2 of the first 3 years they play in the NHL with really good players on the team? And so in his case, yes, it's small sample size, but I think your first reference to pro athletes and 28 years old, I really think that's changed. I think it's changed because of sports science. I think it's changed because of how much time and play a lot of these young players are getting. I mean, this is an elite group. We may not see a group of RFAs like we have this year. We may not see a group of 15, 18, 20 guys come into the league and in their first 3 years all play this well. We may not see it again for 10 years. But this is what it is. They all want to be paid. I don't think they're all tied to Mitch Marner in any way. I think they're all tied to their specific teams and their unique situations that they're dealing with. And, in Calgary, I think Tkachuk is tied way more to Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan than he is to Mitch Marner. In Winnipeg, I think Laine is tied to Connor, is also tied to Scheifele and Wheeler and that whole group. So I think Marner is getting probably a little bit of unfair criticism for holding this whole process up. I don't think he is. I don't think he's got anything to do with Brandon Carlo and Charlie McAvoy in Boston. I don't think he's got anything to do with Zach Werenski in Columbus.